You have to fail to learn. One of my MSPs, they always tell their employees, look, if you mess up, be like a goldfish. A goldfish only remembers 3 seconds. Remember it, get over it, and move on.
This is Start, Grow, Manage, where we help managed service providers achieve the impact, freedom, and wealth you imagined back when you started your company. At Start, Grow, Manage, our tools, practices, and processes help you engage, energize, and execute on building a business that empowers an extraordinary life. Learn more about our programs and how they can fuel your fire at startgrowmanage.com/learn more. Let's go.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Start, Grow, Manage, where we help MSPs build business machines, effective businesses, so that the MSP owners can get out of doing all the technical work and spend a little bit more time with their family, spend a little bit more money, that sort of thing. And I am here today with TJ Jackson, who is a recruiter, staffer for MSPs and MSSPs, generally works with more mature MSPs who are looking to grow, and was telling me before we got here about the story of one MSP that he worked with that started with, they were at $4 million and 21 employees, and they ramped up to 64 employees and $14 million, and then were able to sell themselves. Right now they have the organization that works, and that's the kind of story that we love to chat about here at Start, Grow, Manage. So TJ, welcome to the podcast and the show. Great to see you.
Thank you. Likewise. Always great to see you again, Jeff.
So I always like to start with the problem you solve for MSPs. So what would you say the key business problem is that you solve for MSPs?
If I had to say, it kind of goes a little deeper than just putting butts in seats, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I help align candidates to the core values of the business, right? I think that's a key indicator, right? Because if you have strong core values that are implemented across all lines within the business, just makes for an easier, more harmonious work environment for that new candidate, new employee.
Let me back up. Like, I started my sentence 3 times there, which you're not supposed to do while you're recording. But anyway,
No,
so we have a pretty definitive opinion on that as well. But before we get there, what do you think in terms of core values and capabilities? Like, what should people be hiring for? Core values or the ability to do work?
if I had to put it in priority, I would say core values first. Core values first, and then capabilities. Because the thing is, if you are hiring on core values and cultural alignment, these employees resonate with their team. They resonate with the company values, right? And so they integrate and collaborate a little bit more effectively, right? And that contributes to that positive work environment.
So that's what we find as well, right? And so I was betting that you were going to say that, right? Like, I don't know where I would have gone if you'd said capabilities, but anyway, I was betting you were going to say that. But I think that's pretty universal. One of the challenges that MSPs keep coming to us with is, how do I build and retain a team? How do I keep people engaged? How do I choose the right people? And what we find over and over again is that it comes down to the core values. If you have core values well established, you know what they are, and you're hiring people who fit those core values, it works a lot better. You can teach people how to do stuff, right? You can teach people how to do stuff, but you can't teach core values.
No, not at all. Not at all. That's one thing, I've noticed a lot within MSPs too, right? You can't teach the soft skills, right? They have to want it. They have to be able to get it, right? And they have to have the capacity to do it, right?
Right.
So, those soft skills aren't really teachable. It almost has to be ingrained in that type of person,
Well, especially when you're trying to mesh, right? When you say, okay, I've got a business and I'm trying to mesh people with that business. If you have to go through this exercise of trying to teach everybody soft skills, it just doesn't work, and especially around core values and what you value and how you value things. If you are a eat what you kill company and you hire a collaborative, work together type of person, it's never going to work. Doesn't matter how capable that person is, it's just never going to work.
Right.
And that's and like you said, you can't teach core values. People have them, they are
Right.
them, right?
Right. But I could tell you this though, Jeff, and it's funny that we're talking about core values, right? Speaking to several MSPs, a lot of them have great core values. Some may want to rediscover what their core values are, right? And I had one MSP that actually went to his mid-management and asked them, "Hey, what are your core values here at this MSP?"
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And see if they're aligning, right? If they are aligning, those are the people that want it and that get it and that have the capacity to do it.
You know,
So I'll
we've always said that core values is more of a process of discovery, right? Like
yes,
you kind of have them. They're not it's difficult to invent them. There is a set of core values. There is kind of the way that you operate. There may be the things that you say and the things that you do, but the things that you do tell you what your core values are.
yep,
And we always think of it as this process of discovery and
yes.
discovering those core values. So I love what you're saying, because you go into that mid-level management and say, okay guys, what are the core values, and let's chat a bit about that and figure out what they are and whether they're shared and whether we're all on board. It's going to make for creating a much more harmonious, engaged team, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And here at Culture Fits, we want to mirror your dedication that the MSPs serve for their clients, right? If you are looking to really, focus on what you can bring and what you could share, then it's always a great opportunity for us to really align. I like to look at MSPs and see how they treat their customers. Because
Hmm.
if they're treating their customers well, then guess what? 8 times out of 10, they're treating their employees well too, right?
Yeah,
So you kinda get the
yeah.
2 for 1, client satisfaction and employee retention, right?
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I guess we look at it too from the customer standpoint, because your customers. We always talk about optimizing your customers and really working with the uh, you want to work with the customers you want to work with. Who are those customers? Those are the ones who are a cultural fit, who are a core values fit, who are something, that agree with you, that you like to be with. And when you can out that and identify, that tends to be a great way to optimize your business.
Yes, 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 absolutely. And I mean, that's also a great way to, help you build those high performing teams that support your mission, right? And strengthen your brand. So, with here at Culture Fits, we bring that same servant, leadership to the hiring process, right?
Yeah.
Which we
Yeah.
find and that's why I say mature modeled MSPs, right? Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of
So what do you mean
MSPs
by
that
mature model MSPs? How do I know if I'm a mature model MSP?
Great question. Well, I would say mature modeled are those that have not only have, great processes in place, they
Yeah.
understand their core values, right?
Uh-huh.
And they are, really doing everything, every effort possible to not only expand their service offerings to their current clients,
Yeah.
but those that can go find new logos too, right?
Yeah.
And you can kind of you'll be able to tell when I help exclusively staff that MSP that actually got acquired. I won't lie to you, the best part of it was the journey, just seeing them grow,
Yeah.
right? Seeing them
Yeah.
collaborate, going to their summer events and their Christmas parties, right? And me as a staffing firm getting invited. How great is that? That tells you a lot about an MSP. They operate more like a family than a team.
Well, but it is such a joy when a business moves into that state of flow, when you're hiring the right people, when you're working with the right clients, when you feel good about your work, when you can have that off site and people don't feel like they have to be on their phone 24/7, and there's that momentum. We get a lot
Yes.
of people who are concerned about growth, and they're saying, because what we do, TJ, and this is a shameless plug, but we create mature MSPs, right? So what we're going to do is help people create those processes and that structure for them to grow. And
Yes.
one of the things that people come back with is just fear. Like, well, but I'm scared. If it's hard work now when I'm only 3 people, I think I will break when it's 64 people,
Yeah.
right? And but the truth is that if you create the business that is able to scale to 64, it's a pleasure. It just works. Things just
Absolutely.
happen. There's so much more joy in the business than when it's just you sitting there tapping away at a keyboard,
Yeah, yeah. So one thing, Jeff, one thing about, and by the way, you all had a great event. A great event. It was such a pleasure to go to White Plains and just collaborate amongst each other. One of the things that I really took away was it's okay to be uncomfortable. You want to be uncomfortable,
That's interesting.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's funny because I actually met some competitors there, right?
Yeah.
And it was still very engaging, very collaborative. Everyone talked about best practices, but the greatest thing is knowing and seeing how Start, Grow, Manage can help these MSPs get to that maturity. So when you talk about being uncomfortable, that's probably the time when you should really be able to shine and grow.
When we bring people together for these training days, I think what I really appreciate is, like you say, it is that collaborative environment. It is that focus on growth. Like you mentioned competitors, right? But I find that at this level, we're there really isn't competition. And by this level, I mean, until you're like a multi-billion-dollar traded company who actually owns a market share that
Mhm.
people can put measure and write a report on, you're not really competing.
Right,
There's
right.
so much market out there. Like there are so many people who need to recruit. You're not competing. So the opportunity to come together and share notes and collaborate and work together is so much more than sitting in your office being scared or about competition. And so I love that you were able to come and meet people and even meet competitors and be able to work together and come up with some ideas. I mean, you were saying you met competitors and came away planning to
Yeah, I
work
mean,
together, right?
it's funny that you say that, right? Because you almost are complimenting the word in a positive connotation, right?
Yeah,
Competitors are really my collaborators,
yeah,
you know? And so, when we got to speaking, initially it's like, oh yeah, we're in the same industry. Oh yeah, well, how do you do this? Well, let me show you what we do.
right.
I actually walked away with a whole back office solution where I was overwhelmed and thinking, man, I'm going to have to hire someone to do this. And here, a collaborator gave me a
Yeah,
solution just like that.
yeah.
So, it was a great event. I think everyone came out of there, taking something away. And what you are doing, Jeff and Joe, for Start, Grow, Manage is awesome and intriguing and very much well needed. So thank you.
Well, thank you, TJ. Okay, the check's in the mail. No.
I'll send you an invoice. Don't worry.
Yeah, yeah. Please send me the invoice. No, we didn't even pay for that. But thanks, TJ. I mean, it's like it's great to get feedback that we are actually creating that culture of growth and culture of collaboration that we want to create.
Yes.
And I want to come back to something else that you said a minute ago, and it's this idea of it's okay to be uncomfortable. I really like that. I had a conversation with my daughter yesterday,
Hmm.
and she's graduating from high school, and she's looking at colleges, and she's planning to go away from college, and she just said to me, she's like, she's terrified. She's like,
Yeah.
I'm so anxious. I'm so nervous about this. What's wrong? I like people. I'm comfortable. I want to learn. How do I get rid of this anxiety? And I told her, I said, look, no, it's okay. It's okay to be uncomfortable. It's like the most nerve-wracking thing in the world. You're going out of of this comfortable home where,
Mhm.
dare I say, her parents are not terrible people. She's not trying to escape any sort of abusive situation, and she's going into a place that she knows nothing about. She's going to be in the dorm room that's as big as a shoebox with another person that she doesn't know, doing things that she doesn't understand yet. That's terrifying. It's uncomfortable. And it's
Yes,
okay to be
it is.
uncomfortable. It's okay. And the point is, you've got to do it anyway, right?
Yes,
You've got to
yes,
go and you've got to do, even though you're uncomfortable, even though you're concerned about it, even though you're worried about it, you take that, you accept it, you say, I'm uncomfortable, and you do it anyway. And
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's what we were hearing from Robert Gillette when he talked about sales. I think that's what we heard from Adam Walter when he was talking about how to do SWOT analysis. Matthew Gorge when he was talking about the cybersecurity. There are uncomfortable moments
yeah,
that we have to sit with and be with, and it's okay.
yeah. Being uncomfortable forces you to adapt. Forces you to
Forces you
adapt.
to adapt. I like that.
And, once you adapt to it though, at that point, you know how to pivot. You know what you like, you know what you don't like. And I think that's what matters most. Understanding
Yeah.
what you don't like versus what you like, right?
Well,
But
and
being
what's
able to
also
adapt to it
And
and
and what's
adjust.
interesting, so sorry, I keep cutting you off.
Go ahead. Sorry.
To adapt and adjust, yeah. And I think what's interesting is that when you do that, that comfort zone expands, right? So now
Yes.
you're in a completely new area, and what you thought was uncomfortable before, because you adapted, you adjusted, is now perfectly comfortable.
And that could be even within an MSP, right? When you talk about, let's talk about like top grading, upskilling, right?
Yeah,
Offering that project to a guy who's been asking to be promoted, right? Hey, you want to help me out on this project? Well, I don't know if I could do that. Give it a shot. Why not?
right.
And again, if he gets it and wants it and has a capacity to do it, being uncomfortable is a blessing in disguise at that point.
Well, and you also bring up an interesting point with that, because then the manager also has to go into the uncomfortable space of letting the employee do the work.
Yes. Yes.
Right? And you
Yes.
have to let them potentially fail.
Fail. Yes. Fail. First attempt in learning, right? So
It's
what?
true though, right?
It is. It is. You have to fail to learn. One of my MSPs, they always tell their employees, look, if you mess up, be like a goldfish. A goldfish only remembers 3 seconds. Remember it, get over it, and move on.
Yeah.
Right. So it's okay to fail.
But there was this beautiful story, this mythology in IBM where, and I don't know if it's like real or apocryphal, but it's like one of these IBM myths. And there was this kid who goes into his boss's office, and the kid just like royally screwed something up and cost the company something like $100 million. Like, the story is it cost him $100 million, and this was back when $100 million was real money, right? So anyway, it cost him $100 million, and so he goes into the boss. He's like, okay, I'm ready for you to fire me. I know it's coming. And the guy's like, fire you? I just paid $100 million to educate you. What are you talking about? Like, if you go anywhere now, I'm screwed, right?
Yes.
So let's
Yes.
move on to project two. And there is we've got to accept that a bit of failure is going to come, but that's how we get that's how we actually ratchet up and get up to those higher levels, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And usually when you get past it and the smoke clears, you'll remember what to do next time, right?
And I
And
also find
possibly
that,
help each other's avoid that.
well, so we can help each other avoid that. Employees can help each other avoid that. And
Mhm.
I've also found that clients are actually more forgiving than we think that they are. So when somebody screws up and you just own it, usually you can move beyond it, right? So you get an educational experience, and it's probably not going to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I
Let's
love
let's
what
hope not.
Joe, I asked Carla to put this back up here. I love this comment from Joe. Comfort is where dreams go to die. Discomfort is where evolution begins. Lean in, level up, and let growth do its thing. So, I think that's really
Absolutely.
true.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, leveling up, man, it's necessary. It's required. I mean, it should be something that everyone is ingrained in and thoroughly, wholeheartedly wants. Right?
Yeah.
Technology is complex enough, right? People
Yeah.
don't need to make it more complex. We have to stay innovative and ahead of the curve. So, I love it. I love it. That was a great comment,
Absolutely.
Joe.
So tell me, TJ, now that we have you here and we warmed you up and buttered you up a little bit. So how do people build a stronger team? So we've got, people listening. How do we help them build a stronger team for their MSP? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I would first say just make for sure that you are really focused on, again, the core values. Kind
Hmm.
of goes back to that, right? And making for sure you prioritize culture and technical fit, right? And what we do here is we kind of help reduce that turnover, saving you cost and time associated with frequent rehiring, right?
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of people find it difficult to retain because they don't take the time to know their team. And if you are managing a team or even part of a team, I mean, it's your responsibility to be ingrained in collaboration, right? So when you are hiring, you want to if you're going to retain something, you want to make for sure you understand how that employee likes to be managed, how he likes to be influenced, and how he can influence others, right? So we're kind of going back to the soft skills,
You're right.
right?
Right.
I'm not saying technical capability shouldn't be, a requirement, because by all means it is. I just think if you are aligning people together, like-minded individuals, then, they seem to work better. It,
Right.
it's it People want to come in the office, not because they have to, you
Right.
know. So,
They enjoy being there. They enjoy the problems. They enjoy the people. They enjoy the management challenges, right?
yes, yes, absolutely. And they enjoy it together. And I think that's
Yeah.
what's really engaging too, right? Is enjoying it together. How great is it to be a part of a project and you helped assist, and what you didn't know someone else did, and vice versa,
Yeah.
right? That's great collaboration, and it builds a strong team.
Yeah, it's interesting you say get to know your team. I think that that's really true. It's one of the things that we've looked at with our own internal team is how do we get to know our people better? And we're so busy. Everybody is so busy right now because we're growing and we're developing stuff and putting on events, and everybody's overtaxed because we're a small team that's growing. We've all been there, but I think taking that time to know to sort of know people, and then I also think to communicate with them. So you're saying, think about how they like to be managed, and I think part of that is also communicating with them what's going on with the business, how involving them in the conversation. I think we went
Yes.
through a period of not communicating very well. By we, I mean me, and that wasn't good, right? So when we go
Yeah.
back and really have quality conversations where we involve the team in this is where we're going, that's it's a powerful way to draw them in and build those connections. And Joe is talking about the power of apprenticeship program.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you
Yes.
have
Yes.
anything to add on apprenticeships?
Well, so being having a program like that, and especially if you are being paired up with someone that could help you get there. I mean, how successful is that? Just to the employee, right?
Yeah.
That right there brings so much value, and recognizing the importance of achieving, right? Not only your personal goals but your professional goals. You
Yeah.
know, so whether that's finding a role that respects work life balance, or aligning a company that values enough to inspire each other, right? To your point of getting to know them, right? Getting to know who you're working with. you know I do that. You talked about inclusion. I do that with my recruiters, oddly enough. And not to say that they need it, but I feel like my recruiters are my partners. They're not my
Yeah.
employees. I look at them as my partners. We
Yeah.
all are taking a dedication to improve what we're doing, not just for us, but for the lives of others,
Yeah. For
right?
everybody else.
And that's what we are very passionate about. We're passionate about people. So you talked about inclusion. I include them on everything. As a matter of fact, I ask their opinion on some things too,
Yeah.
right? So you talk about collaboration, involvement, innovation, new ways to do
Right.
things.
What takes us right back to what we were talking about earlier, right? Is that the one of the values of coming together and meeting with other people is you get to access their brains. And the
Yes.
truth is that the more brains you can access and bring together around a problem, the better the results are going to be, the better the insights, the better you're going to be able to plan and deliver and do the things that you're planning on doing. So that's, I think, a key part of that with your team. When you can collaborate, when you can bring them in, then you access their brains and their
Mhm.
ideas and their ability to support you, and that's very valuable.
Yeah, you'll find, at least I have, when I include my recruiters in what I do, I find that they compliment me more.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'd want to say something, but they'll do it, right? And I don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
You talk about
Yeah.
collaboration, that's at its finest, when you're including your employees, right?
No,
So
I think
I
that's
love
that's a
that.
beautiful thing.
Yes,
So
yes.
TJ, before we move on, just how do people get in touch with you? I mean, obviously you have the QR code on the screen, which is, well positioned. What are the next steps if somebody wants to work with you?
Well, hey, you can actually easily scan my QR code. You can connect with me at www.linkedin.com/in/TJAXN. Or you could just put in Culture Fits on LinkedIn and you'll find me.
Nice. And then have a conversation with you and see what the next steps are, right?
Yes, yes. I encourage candidates and MSP owners all in the same. Again, we like to mirror what you are offering, and we're very passionate about people. I think for me, and this is just me, Jeff. God has given me the permission to pursue my passion, and that's people. So, if you're looking for a valued resource, a trusted resource, I know people hate to hear that sometimes, but that never dies with me because I'm more than putting butts in seats. I want to be a connector. I'm your go-giver, and I want to help out in any way. So thank you
That's a
again.
beautiful thing, TJ. I don't think there's much we can add to that. So that's like putting that's a great ending to the conversation. And I think in terms of working with us, we are actually doing a program that's going to be coming up, but I don't have the page yet quite, where we're going to be talking about how to use SWOT analysis. And then TJ,
Mm,
I don't know, maybe we should do something around how to create core values for your MSP. We could do something like that together.
that would be awesome.
So
Awesome and well needed,
we
I'm
have a
sure.
whole program on core values. So maybe we'll do something along those lines and just come back here and we'll put some links in the show notes and
Oh, that would be awesome.
yeah, I think that'd be good, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it'd be an eye opener for a lot of people too. So hopefully if they're watching this now, I mean, there are some things that I'm sure people are thinking in the back of their head. And to your point, being uncomfortable, right? Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Be
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Be uncomfortable. I like that. That's a good ending too. Be uncomfortable. Go do stuff, even if
Yeah.
it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right, TJ, it has been a pleasure to chat with you and hang out with you this afternoon. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your time. Thank you for coming out to White Plains for our training day and for all you're doing for the MSPs and the people in your world. It's a real pleasure. So thank you very much.
Yes,
And
sir.
for everybody watching this live and everybody watching this in the recording and the podcast and everything else, thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Thanks for what you do. And we will see you next time at Start, Grow, Manage.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for joining us, and a special thanks to our subscribers. Consider becoming one right now and tap into our insights and instincts to help drive your business vision and success. Remember, You didn't start your business to feel frustration. You started it for freedom. We can help you discover the impact, freedom, and wealth you always imagined. Learn more at startgrowmanage.com/learn more.